Today, as we turn our attention especially to those who are immigrants, to those who have faced so many atrocities that are happening to them and to refugees here in our country, and that are happening whether they are citizens or not, whether they have criminal records or not, but because of the color of their skin, perhaps were stopped for a tail light that had gone out, or forgetting to turn a turn signal on, and now a record followed them for the rest of their days. What is happening in our nation with ever intensifying force, as Will said, and with what I would call lawless abuse, should call forth a rage from within us that we should channel in nonviolent ways to expose what is being done with our tax dollars. And as Will said, that big, ugly budget bill that has passed, that has caused immigration officials to increase by 10,000, as he said, with bonuses of 30,000 for every new recruitment quota that they make. Those ICE agents who now cover their faces with masks and now no longer have to have warrants signed by a judge with the correct name and address to be able to detain someone. And now that 287 memorandum of agreement that leaves so many of our deputies not taking care of us and protecting us, but using their time to detain in even more immigrants. Doing the work that ICE officers were supposed to do. Now that America is no longer America. Those who risk their lives to come here, often their lives and their children's lives, but to come because they were so unsafe where they were. And now not only the parents, but those we held up as brave dreamers just a few years ago are offered only one path towards supposed safety, and that is to self-deport. To self-deport. Such harmless sounding words, unless that place from which you had known as home, you spent waiting in refugee camps to escape, with unsafe sanitation and a lack of food, that place where children died, or at home for you was that place where your young men, your young sons, had their bodies torn apart and left for dead on your doorpost, or that place where your virgin daughters had been raped by a truck full of soldiers. Those are the places which folks left. Not one left home, the home that they chased to find in America by crawling on their stomach over deserts, by getting in seas that were shark infested. But if there is one thing I have to say today, it is do not ever accuse anyone who doesn't self-deport of either being stupid or selfish or greedy, or of course a criminal, unless you know the home from which they come. If I hear one more person say to me, why don't they self-deport? They're given plane fare and $1,000. I may forget my commitment to nonviolence, in word, if not in deed. Unless we forget those 262 Venezuelan young men who were flown against a judge's order to El Salvador, to that maximum security prison where they said none would ever leave alive. Those cells, and the pictures of those cells look eerily like cells in death camps in Germany. As our Secretary of Homeland Security flashed her $50,000 Rolex watch before the cameras, calling them the worst of the worst, we learned that 70% of these men were not gang members, and 90% of them had never committed a violent crime, and yet they were given, we thought, that death sentence. And I thought I would never forget. I was haunted by those men's faces every night. But then more news came. More things happened. More terrible occurrences happened, and I forgot. I forgot about those men I said I would never forget until I was writing what I would say on Friday. And I realized I didn't know where those men were now. I knew where Mr. Garcia was, still being haunted by our nation's government. But I didn't know about the rest until I looked and found that they had been released back to Venezuela, even though our president and all other officials had said that could never happen. They are back with their homes and with families. And the stories are beginning to come out about those men and what their lives were like in that prison camp. But now, as Will said, we are building our own. We have Alligator Alcatraz in Florida. And to make it worse, our president has given enough money so that every other state can bid for grants to build their own. Our governor and our people who are running for the Republican nomination for governor all support this. And perhaps the bidding war will be whether it is tigers who patrol their watch or gamecocks with a few alligators thrown in beside. And do you know who's exposing these stories? The brave reporters from NPR, National Public Radio. They are the ones that are telling the stories where we could not find the news anywhere else. And we know who has now been defunded. We know whose doors are going to be shuttered unless we dig deep and truly make it publicly funded radio and publicly funded TV. And we must do that. I want to close again with the words of Langston Hughes, who said, "Oh, let America be America again, the land that has never been, and yet the land that must be, where every person is free." Now go get them out there and make them honk their horns. Thank you.